We have tried to settle the argument on energy, but Obama keeps pulling us back in. I'm Allen Barton. Stand by for the front page. Joining me in studio, Yaron Brook, president of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights, and Terry Jones, associate editor for Investors Business Daily. All right, Obama recently addressed a crowd in Maryland. He's addressing crowds everywhere. On American energy policy, had some choice words for his critics. Let's take a look.
They dismiss wind power. They dismiss solar power. They make jokes about biofuels. They were against raising fuel standards. I guess they like gas guzzlers. They think that's good for our future. We're trying to move towards the future. They want to be stuck in the past. And we've heard this kind of thinking before. Let me tell you something. If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.
All right, back in studio with our appointed straw man, Yaron and Terry. Terry, are you a member of the Flat Earth Society, or
I am, and a proud member of
the Flat Earth Society. Do you make fun of algae, Terry? Are you making fun of biofuels?
I laugh at algae. I break wind in his general direction, and I tell him to put it where the sun don't shine. Mm-hmm. But quite honestly, this whole litany of things he mentioned, and he went on to talk about a lot of other things, including insulting one of his predecessors, Rutherford B. Hayes, and mangling history in doing so. Suggesting that Rutherford B. Hayes was his predecessor in the presidency, did not like the telephone and thought it was a crazy invention. In fact, he was the first president to have a telephone in the White House.
Didn't like a telephone, first one to have one. You can mix these things up.
He was an early adopter.
When you're a president who doesn't like ATMs,
when you're identifying straw men like that, it's easy to get those historical points wrong.
Even going back to the Flat Earth Society, when Columbus set sail, most educated people knew the world was round. There was not a Flat Earth Society out there. There was nobody who thought he was going to sail off the edge. It's a myth.
Yaron, any thoughts here? I mean, it's so dishonest. It's so dishonest and so stupid. I just listen to it and I go, it's so stupid. I hate to be harsh with my language, but it's stupid.
It is stupid. It's stupid because, he gives a whole list, right? Wind power, what's it? Less than 1% of all electricity comes from wind power. Yeah. And there's no way. There's just no physical way to get
a truck with wind. Can you move
solar?
Anything?
Give me a break. We've been talking about solar for 30+ years as the solution, and yet it never comes about. So this is clearly dishonest, but you got to give him credit. He frames the debate in a way that is appealing to his constituency, that motivates them. This is all about politics. It's not about facts, and it's not about energy. Yeah, it's about making jokes about biofuel.
You're mean. You're just a mean person.
Yeah, and the people, and the fact that food prices have been going up all over the world because of our focus on biofuel and all this other stuff. That's just, we're making this up because we're trying to. But science and facts are on the side of the people skeptical of all these energy alternatives. And the fact is, we have a great source of energy. They're all carbon-based, but they're great sources of energy. They're cheap relative to anything else.
Well,
if you think you could run cars on solar energy for less than $3 a gallon.
The dishonest positioning that if you want energy independence from like these places in the Mideast where we have to get our oil and you got all these places, that the only alternative is wind, solar, and algae, as opposed to, say, domestic development of our oil supplies. He puts out that canard that America consumes 20% of the oil reserves and has only 2% of the oil supply and only has 2% of the reserves, which is false on the face of it, but immoral underneath it. Can you sort of address this false dichotomy?
It's
either Mideast oil or wind.
Yeah,
those are our
It's
options.
utterly false. As Yaron said, even with the most bullish projections, wind, solar, and biomass are not going to account for any more than 7 or 8% at the most of our energy output. So what is? Well, guess what? We've got it right now. It's oil. My colleague John Merline looked at this comment he made, that it's 2% of the reserves and 20% of the use. That's totally wrong. It's a lie. We have actually at least 1.4 trillion barrels of recoverable oil. That's at least 1.4 trillion
That's like Saudi
barrels.
Arabia level.
Yes,
oil
not
reserve.
23 billion as Obama claims. 1.4 trillion, and we likely have more, but it's very expensive.
Not to mention natural gas.
Not to
What gets me
mention
is it's not about inexpensive and efficient energy. It's just this boogeyman, strawman BS about renewable energy versus bad Mideast oil. All right, I want to move on to the next thing. In a related story, our great DOE Secretary, Stephen Chu, recently walked back earlier statements where he was supportive of higher gas prices. Let's take a look at the video.
Since I walked in the door as Secretary of Energy, I've been doing everything on powers to do what we can to reduce these, as we see these gas prices spike, to reduce those prices. And the administration, the president, and I personally, yes, we do acknowledge and feel the pain of not only American consumers but American businesses when they see these prices increase.
You got a talking to.
The clear sincerity with which and passion with which he elucidates the nature of the high prices. We desperately feel the pain that.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with this guy? I mean, and he was on record as saying that if we could get European-style gas prices, this would be a great thing because then we could all drive little cars and go wee.
Whenever I hear a government official saying he feels my pain, I hear the snap of the proctologist glove. Look, this guy is such a fibber. This is since we created the Energy Department, which was in the late 1970s, we have careened from energy crisis to energy crisis to energy crisis. Why? Because the Energy Department solves nothing, doesn't create one drop of energy. What it does is it stands between willing suppliers and willing users of energy and creates an enormous problem for us. And if the Energy Department were dissolved tomorrow and there were no rules from the government on energy, our energy problems would disappear overnight.
Yaron?
Can't add much to that. I mean, Terry's absolutely right. He's the problem. Chu is the problem. Obama's the problem. The fact that government has an energy policy is the problem. Markets do this stuff amazingly well. I mean, it is amazing to me how we can drive cars at fuel costs of $4 a gallon. Think of what it takes. Think of the technology and the transportation and the delivery and the refining and the sophistication it takes to get this gucky, horrible black stuff into our cars to be burnt so that we can travel at speeds, I won't say how fast. But this is an amazing thing that the markets have done. Government only stands in its way. Government only interferes. It doesn't solve any of these problems. Indeed, it is creating the problems. One of the first departments that should go with the new administration is the Department of Energy, with all the rules, regulations, and subsidies that they engage in.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. For Yaron and Terry, I'm Allen Barton, and you've been watching Front Page.